get all the good shit out of the way. Let me just do this introduction really quick.
That
So,
sounds good.
all right, perfect. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining The Faces. Entrepreneurs are people too. I'm your host, Cody Hall, CEO and founder of Telehelping, our virtual staffing company and sponsor. So, hey, listen, I'm super excited to welcome an entrepreneur here this morning that's not only an entrepreneur and a hustler, but also a longtime friend and veteran buddy of mine. Fabian Isaza, my man, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Out here, a little
Yeah.
cold since I've been in LA for about 13 years. Now I'm back here in Boston, and acclimating to this weather is tough. Let me tell you that.
Mm, Dude, I just got so you see my New York hat. I was super touristy there with my family this holiday, and so I've met more people from Boston slamming me for my New York hat than I ever had in my life. I didn't know there was so many people from Boston and Napa, California until I walk around in New York hat.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. It's like I just so
Oh.
happen to have the Boston Red Sox, and you have the New York Yankees. This is great.
Mm. Well, Fabian, my man, I called you, dude. I'll call you Fabio. I have an employee named Fabian, so I'm gonna mess that up. Zaza. I'm gonna go back to the Marine Corps
There
for a
we
second.
go.
I'm Zaza. I'm not mess it up. My brother, tell us who we talking to today. Who's
All right,
Zaza?
so like you said, we know each other in the Marine Corps from the Marines, and I got out of high school, went into the Marines, did 4 years of that. After that, came back home for about a month, hit three blizzards, realized I'm like, you know what? I think my future's in California, Southern California. Left, told my parents, I love you guys, but nothing personal. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go look for a place out there. Stayed in California, so got out in 2014. Stayed out there, hustle grind. Did the whole what's it called? Training. So I trained for myself, didn't work for anybody, personal training, and got into bodybuilding. So I was doing those two things. Uh, LA, man, it's a great opportunity to make a lot of money doing things that usually don't pay as much anywhere else. Making anywhere from 100 to 150 an hour, personally training. But again, I'm very knowledgeable in that field, and it came natural to me. I remembered everything, the chemistry, diets, workouts. Started saving a lot of money. Opened up a marketing company. Our bread and butter was website development, and so we implemented the marketing as far as creating funnels, what was attractive to that business, and attract the eyes. And that started during COVID. Saw an opportunity. I met who was my business partner at the time, and he was a computer genius. I'm talking about the guys that scroll down code and like, oh, there's a problem, and it's a whole bunch of gibberish. They know if you're a coder, you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
They'll just like fix it. I'm just like, I don't know what just happened.
Reminds me of Sander Paul when you said that. When you said geeky dude. I remind me of
Yeah,
Sander Paul.
yeah. I'm like, man, I don't. But like this, the selling in that was so easy because half of the time, the client will tell me like, hey, we also need kind of need help on this, and if it had to do with tech, I'll say absolutely, we can make that happen. I'm like, hey, can we make this happen? He's like, yeah, it's easy. I was like, thank you. I'm like, man, and but the way we blew up was interesting because I always heard of where there's chaos, there's opportunity. And during this whole COVID thing, all these shops, restaurants, things were getting closed, and I'm like, this is chaos. It's like, where
Yeah.
is the opportunity? So I was already friends with him. I already knew his capabilities, and we're like, hey, what if we create websites for these businesses that have 80 to 90% foot traffic and 20 to 10% online sales? And obviously, if their doors are shut, there's 0% foot traffic, but their websites, I guarantee you, somebody in their family in high school did it, and it's really slow, especially if they're going to have a lot of traffic coming in. We can
Yeah.
revamp that. Are we able to gather data and see if and show their progress to another business? And he's like, yeah, we can do all of that. Let's make it happen. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, let me close some people, crazy prices, right, on the first ones, and now I have material to be able to sell for the prices that is actually worth, which I have no idea. I'm just getting into this, you know what I mean? And
You're
I'm
just
like,
doing the sales. Just doing the
yeah, I'm
sales.
just in sales. I'm like, I'm selling. You tell me the price. How much is this worth? You're the one, you know what I mean? and I'm just over here upselling, and it grew, man. And after COVID, we had clients. One of our clients that most people probably know is Mike Will made it,
Yeah.
Duther. He was one of our clients for the Twitch, and so we were handling all of that. Put it like this: this is how my buddy was so skillful. They're all the way in Atlanta. We're in LA. They don't know anything as far as computers. They're trying to create this program, and it's like we're all the way over here. I was like, we're not gonna gotta fly out there. Just and he's like, no, I can hack into their computer. I just need them to sign a contract so we don't get
Yeah.
sued. And he's like, I'll do that all. And they're seeing the mouse clicking, and I'm just like, listen, hey, we got something going on over here. Uh, but after that, the you remember the NFT era?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we started kind of coming out of the real world and going more into the crypto world during that time. We got hired by 2 to 3 uh, projects in Dubai and making anywhere from $200,000 in Ethereum at the time, and it was just handling those projects, and each
Yeah.
project was making them about that much, and we're just like, listen, we're gonna hit everybody up and be like, hey, you got 2 solid months with us. Let us know what you need, and then we're done. You know what I mean? I was like, we're just
Yeah.
gonna do this full, and then obviously NFT came down, but before the NFT came down, I got into the Hollywood scene. I don't know if you're seeing those when I was posting. I was working with SEAL Team on Paramount Plus.
Oh yeah, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
You're down in Colombia and everything, right? Yeah.
yeah. So that was for season 7. The last 3 episodes we were out in Colombia, we were filming out there, and that was awesome. I didn't do so. I got into that world through stunts, and then I got into acting, which now is considered stunt acting. But that project in Colombia, the season 7, last 3 episodes, I was there as a consultant with another 3. He was Marsoc, and the other one was he was a Navy SEAL as well.
Mhm.
And we were basically there as consulting. I was consulting with the the part of us 3 were consulting on the part of making sure the actors look official. I don't know. I mean, it comes down to any type of industry. I'm pretty sure when you see any military movies, you're like,
Yeah.
that isn't, what are they doing? Why is the uniform like that? That's not how you pie. That's not how the CQB doesn't even
Yeah.
work like that. So you kind of like catch all those things. And if you're a police officer, if you're a firefighter, any show movie that you see, you're like, wait a minute, we're not doing that. That's not,
Yeah.
so we tried to make it as real as possible. So we were directly working with the director and telling him, like, hey, he kind of did that wrong. The elbows are up. We got to bring him down. Whatever it may be. Or we'll read the script and we'll tell him. So this is what we would do in this situation. Come in, do this, boom, kick down the door, X, Y, and Z, and then the director would basically say, on camera, that's not going to look very impressive.
Yeah.
We got to put some Hollywood in it, and
Yeah, that
so that's where.
that's where the guns up came from when they're doing around the corner because guns down, right? It doesn't look sexy, right? They
Well,
need the gun. They need the gun in the scene where they're getting ready to turn around the corner
Well,
with the
well,
magnum.
what you just did there is guns up, and then you're like, and guns down doesn't look. It's like, yeah, it's gone.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And we're trying to get this close up on your face,
yeah.
and so you got to see the, you got to make sure you see. So
Like, yeah, you
it's
gotta
like,
see what you're packing.
yeah. So now every time I watch something, and I'm just like, wait a minute, and I'm just like, well, you know what? If they actually made it look real, I don't think it would look. Yes, I
Well,
guess. All right.
let's talk about that for a second, because that's one thing I don't think we highlight enough is like the global war on terrorism, right? What it did for Hollywood, right? It really like if you want to go back and look at like pre 2001 like military movies, right?
Yeah.
All right, go look at those things real quick. The things that they're doing, how they're going about like being tactical and everything to like what they do now, right? Was it like Zero Dark 30 and all these crazy things like
Yeah.
the accuracy they're able to portray in the movies, like you're welcome, right? It only
Yeah.
took
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
global war. It only took a global
There you
war.
go. And now going deeper into that, one of the main actors on SEAL Team, Tyler Gray. He's actually Green Beret. I believe he was a Green Beret, and yeah, he was. He was actually before he started acting in the show. He was one of the writers.
All right.
So,
Yeah.
I believe SEAL Team did a really good job as far as bringing people in the team, where it's like you don't have writers that are only just writers, and that's all they do. But you have veteran writers as well in there. Veteran, making sure working with the director. I think there were two veterans. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is John, cameraman," and he's like, "Yeah, man, I was in the Navy for 8 years," and I'm like, this is really good, so it's they made it real. The uniforms are on point. I know they would we would always check on that. uh I believe the Ryan, who's in Navy, he was a Navy SEAL. He would always check the uniforms. He'd be like, "Hey, we got to change that thing right here because that doesn't no."
This looks funny,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it looks like it's like we got it. And the thing is everybody were okay. Nobody had a big ego. We're like, I'm the director. Like, no, no, no. How does this? Okay, cool. Like, but that's not gonna look cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna sprinkle some Hollywood in there and continue.
You know, I'm sure you're the same way, dude. Like, it's if I watch a movie or a show and it's like something, it's Hollywood, right? They have to be a little bit wrong, right? But if it's like obvious that they're not in some realm of reality when it comes to the military, I can't watch the movie. Like, it just like the entire time sitting there, I'm like,
It's a
you know,
cringe feeling.
it is like when you see someone's finger on the trigger of a gun, and like it's just, you think Hollywood at this point in time would just get it, right? You would think at some point in time that everyone would just be off the trigger, no matter what they're doing or who they are in what movie. If it's a cop movie that has zero tactical relevance, for the love of God, just remove their finger from the trigger. It'll make
That's
me
it.
feel so much better.
That's
I'll feel so much better.
you know which one gets me every time when I see a Marine Corps, movie, or not even a Marine Corps. It's just like a piece where one of the characters in the Marines and their cover is like this,
Oh, pull it down,
just
right?
all the way, like hiding their eyebrows almost. Like I'm like, goodness gracious! It's like we couldn't. Nobody's cousin in in
Yeah.
in in the production was a Marine. Was like, hey man, can you come to work with me and just kind of point this out and give us some pointers at the least, and but no, that was a fun experience. I did work with them. I did work with based on a true story. It's on Peacock. I'm on season 2, episode 1. The main actor's trying to infiltrate or he's in a cult thing, and so he wants to be initiated in. And he has to wear these antlers and ram somebody head to head. I'm the guy he's ran going
Yeah.
head to head with. So that it was a good time in Hollywood. Now I'm here in Boston, hometown, and I got a good deal with my pops. We have a cleaning company out here, been open since 2002, and just expanding the portfolio, looking at new avenues. And I think we were talking before we started recording. We are talking about that is bringing
Yeah.
new blood, new ideas. And because all ideas tend to change and evolve with new generations. So I
Yeah.
think he understood that. He brought me on board. He knows that I have good sales skills, and so I'm out here doing that now. Now, I'm not passionate about cleaning, and I don't know who is, but what drove me out here is
I
very
wish my nanny would be passionate about cleaning, because being professional cleaners in the military, I could do a better job than her, but I'm not going to do it because it's not my job. But however, it aggravates the hell out of me when she doesn't do a good job.
listen. I am good at organizing and cleaning, and my girlfriend pointed that out to me, and and then I just start getting these flashbacks at the barracks, just getting yelled at for just a speck of dust, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'm pretty good.
It's
I'm
like, look,
just like,
like, what do you mean you didn't look behind the table, right? It's dirty back there.
yeah. It was like the most craziest thing, and I think anybody in the military would understand. But yeah, where was I? Oh yeah,
Well,
so
you're talking about your passion. You're talking you're not passionate about cleaning,
mm,
but
but yeah, and so when we had the media company, we had one client, and it was a vineyard up in Napa, I believe. Guy had like 100 acres.
Yeah.
of just he
A
has
lot, a lot of acres in Napa.
yeah, man. I'm like, it was a lot, and I just remember going there talking, and when I see, and it was a fairly new, like he just had bought it like 2 years ago, and all that stuff. And when I see things like that, I always kind of, if I try to get comfortable with them and be like, hey, man, so how'd you get here? Like, how'd you do? Like, this is
Draw me a map.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's like one thing is inheriting things, but like you just bought it's like, well, I had a construction company in my 20s, still have it today. Nothing crazy, nothing exciting. But I realized that you make a lot of money in construction, that can fund the fun things.
Hmm.
And that kind of like, I'm just like, it stuck with me. And then, this opportunity showed up, and I'm just like, you know what? Cleaning makes a lot of money. And I enjoy sales. So there's a balance there. If I can make enough money here to fund other things, other
Yeah.
businesses, invest in other opportunities that I do enjoy, then be it.
Well, that's an interesting thing, Azaza, because I, being in the virtual staffing world, one, never thought I would be in a remote staff. I never thought I'd own a company where I would have remote employees from Mexico working for U.S. companies. All right, and for the most part, like I wouldn't describe remote work focus as my passion. So, but I realized that it's we talk about one thing that you and I have in common in our companies is no one if all goes well, like, and our jobs are done the way we're supposed to do our jobs, no one should know we exist, right? No one sees the cleaning lady, right? No one, my people take on the identity of their companies. So truthfully,
Yeah,
the only people,
yeah, yeah.
though, truthfully, people who you could be working with my virtual assistant right now. We got 350 of them, right? And you would never know it because they take on who the client is,
You,
right?
you're part of the team. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not. Yeah, it's just like you
yeah.
become part of that team.
Yeah. And so we do our jobs well, right? We shouldn't be sexy. It shouldn't be exciting, right? There shouldn't be
Yeah,
huge billboards over here. Thank you, cleaning and virtual staff people, for doing your job. No, if all goes well, we get paid, the job gets done perfectly, and no one ever hears our name.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Going into that, our bread and butter are condo buildings. We're unionized, so the condo buildings have to be, the type of buildings that have a doorman for the doorman type of thing. So anything from $3 million and up, those are the guys that
Doorman
can
for the
afford us.
doorman.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they're not like, hey, fights of cleaners, amazing. It's no. So say for example, Sudbury condos. Sudbury condo building is clean, and that's it. Their team, they have a good team over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. And the only flexing I do is to another client. It's like, hey, that's one of our accounts. That's another account. That you know what I mean? It's just like and that's about
Yeah.
it. That's as far as it goes when you're bringing it out. So
Most people would ask me what I do, and I tell them I'm a day trader actually. So I'm day trading right now, right? We were sitting here talking, and I have like 9 to 10 trades on, right? And I'm watching them go on my phone and waiting for some vibration on my Apple Watch, right? All day, every day. Right? I get so excited for Monday mornings, but unless like if you're a CFA, like a certified financial advisor, an accountant or a lawyer who has a small practice, like, and I hear that, then I go into sales mode because those are our clients, right? If you're not those people, sure, anyone could use a marketer, right? We
yeah.
hire marketing people, we have sales people, we have about 10% of our business that doesn't fit in any of our categories. We will hire anyone a virtual assistant, right? There are better companies than us though, right? There are companies that focus on those industries. We have our niche. We do, like, you do condos, right? Right, you'll clean
That's
office
it.
buildings, right? If someone says, hey, listen, this
We,
34, we'll
so
do it.
so so
Right.
those are small. Those are smaller accounts, and uh, I believe to you pay attention to your small accounts like you do to the big ones. But yeah, we have
Of course.
offices that we clean 3 times a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nothing crazy. The best examples that if you ever go into like your lawyer's office, they have like the front desk. They probably
Mhm.
have 3 offices in the back. That we take on those, and 3 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever they want, we take those on too, and those are easy. But yeah, we have our bread and butter, but we also have those where, hey, it
and
comes in, it
that's
comes in.
and I'm sure you're the same way as me. Like, I will not turn away money if it matches, but I turn away a lot of clients. Like, we have clients who come to us all the time. Oh, I want to hire 10 cold callers. I'm like, great. Well, what do you do? Oh, I'm in solar sales, not our business. I have someone I can refer you to though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, well, one thing you're in a certain industry, there's multiple routes in that industry, and so you get to know people that are doing. And it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, man, I'll transfer you right there, and that's in good faith because now same idea will happen to them. Be like, oh
they
man,
kick me business all the time. I
exactly.
have about 5 Latin American BPOs because I only refer to Latin America. I do have some Philippines and India based if you're looking for like healthcare and like coding and stuff because they do it better than Latin America. But I have companies that I work with that have 16,000 clients, right? I'm like a piece of bubble gum on one of their 20 shoes, right? I'm so small compared to them. However, they have clients that are too small for them. They'll send them my way if they fit my category, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly,
but I mean, and that's talk about just knowing what you do well and sticking to it, right? Because when I
exactly.
haven't, if I haven't done, if I get off outside that focus, it just never goes well.
It never, and it's not wrong with doing so, but just make sure you have an autopilot and on whatever you have going on that's your niche. But if you want to kind of expand and go into a different route, make sure you're able to autopilot that because it's going to take a lot of focus, and you're going back to these trial and errors. Maybe if it's something really untapped for you. But other than that, and it's very interesting. Going back to what you said is you said I never thought I would own this type of company. It's and I was talking to somebody, a young guy, and it's like, man, I really don't know what I want to do. I'm going to graduate college, or if it's somebody who's graduating high school, I don't know what I want to do, and that's totally fine. You just got to pick something, but you're not going to get it right. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
my say was always like, I want to own a business. Well, what are you going to own? And I'm just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know what I'm going to be
yeah,
into in 5 years. I don't know what's going to be hot in 5 years. I don't know if I'm going to be more money driven than passion driven. I have no, I don't know. I don't know but I'm going to do something and I'm going to fail and I'm going to learn and I'm going to do all these things. So when the
yeah.
time comes and the opportunity shows, you you execute.
Bro, let's talk about that for a second, because unless we could jump back to 2010, right, when we were in the Marine Corps, right? One thing I knew I was never going to do, it was listen to someone else again, right? The one thing I
Listen,
wasn't going to
this
do
is
was take
coming from
another
somebody
order.
that you did another 4 years. I got out. I was
Oh, bro,
like, dude,
bro, we're way worse, dude. I did another 8. I was in the reserve reconnaissance until 2020,
oh, okay, so okay,
bro.
that
I
makes
was
sense. Yeah,
I
you
was
did.
it.
Yeah,
And even then, I was really bad at listening to people. And so it's like they're like, "Hey, listen, we're gonna need you to show up for drill." And I'm like, "Yeah, I just bought a new healthcare practice, and I have a lot to do. I'm gonna need you guys to give me that exemption, right?" And the very first starting to be like, and that's like the COO of the company for those who don't know military. But he's like, "Well, you don't really have a choice. Don't we always have choices though? Like everyone has choices, right?" And I'm just picking the fact that like I have a little bit of time left with you and a whole lot of life left on me. And so I'm trying to get paid here. And so and that's what it was like. It was this weird conversation with them in the reserve, which is why eventually once that contract was up, dude, I was out. I was like,
well, being full time, you get. I feel like it's like, well, I kind of really don't have a choice because it's like, where am I going to go to?
you don't. Correct.
Your life is that you're full
Yeah.
time, and I think experiencing that for 8 years and then going to reserves, you're like, dude, hey, I got my thing going on here, man. It's like,
Well, it's
who
like
are you?
I would equate it to this. It's like imagine you work like full time for a company. Say you work for Amazon, and that's your company, and they pay you every day. But say you also sell
Froze up.
things, right?
Got you back.
Hey, we're back. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna pause real quick, Alan. I'm gonna go back to what he said, and you can just cut this piece here, so you have to slice this video. But I think that in order so people can understand it the way that, active duty and versus reserves is like active would be like your 40-hour, 50 plus hour job at Amazon, right? And then your part-time job would be, say you made bracelets at Etsy, right? And your Etsy clients are like, I'm gonna need you to stop everything you're doing and deliver my Etsy bracelet. You're like, no, I'm not.
I'm not,
I'm,
what's
I'm
the
getting
worst
paid.
that can happen here
I'm
if I
getting I'm
don't
gonna
do
get paid. I gotta get paid because my mortgage is paid by Amazon. So I'm gonna do what Amazon
Yeah,
says.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
that
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 takes
but
priority.
when you're active duty military, like, and that's why I tell people who are reserves, like, listen, if you're in the reserves and that was your career in the reserves, you have no idea what it's like to be an active duty military. Like no one does. It's like it's as if someone paid you to go to prison, right? You're getting like you are a paid prison inmate.
I'm
Like
out
that's
there
the
fighting
best.
for my life. I'm like, I'm about to get in trouble today for no reason. I can see it coming.
Who knows what it's like to be in the military right now, and if they've never served, is those firefighters fighting in LA right now who are prisoners, right? they they understand. And I want to be very really real with you because they're talking about how they're only getting paid a couple dollars an hour. Well, I think if you broke down time commitment on average across the military, I think they're averaging like $2 an hour anyway. So if those firefighters that are prisoners are getting a pay raise, I'm going to go ahead and say we need to give the military a pay raise too.
100%. Yeah, 100%. You know, what I mean, that is very true. Um, I think I think it's interesting you say that because one of my biggest things were two things. The reason I got out because I sat there and I'm like, you know what, I'm pretty good at this. I'm not bad, and and I think it comes with they put this fear in you. It's like, what are you going to go out there in the real world? What are you going to do out there?
Correct.
I'm just like, what am I going to do out there? Maybe I should just do another four and save up and kind of so you kind of get a little nervous. But it wasn't until I saw this staff sergeant. So we're talking about maybe 35-year-old and I'm over here at 22, I think, and I see that guy getting yelled at and drilled by another grown man, and I'm just like, yeah, brother, that's
by
not gonna
another
happen,
by
bro.
another grown man.
Yeah,
That's
it's just like, and the guy's just standing there, what I mean, and he's just taking it, and I'm like, that's not gonna be. No, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. I'm gonna sign my own paychecks. Getting,
yeah.
I
And
got 5 more months to go.
you were there too, and I was there like during those time periods, like, and then I'm sure they still do it today. And hey, listen, I want anyone who's a non-veteran who doesn't really understand what we're talking about maybe in detail, but you have to understand, like, uh, this is a real experience. We're not dogging the military at all. We're both very proud to be Marines, right? We're very proud to be Marines, right? We were really happy at the time we served. However, when you go to get out of the military, imagine for a second if you're a non-military person and you're getting ready to leave a company. Azaza, you're my person. You're like, oh, I'm going to put my 2 weeks notice in. Got paid somewhere else. I'm like, you think it's better out there, Azaza? They're going to pay you more right now, but you're going to fail, Azaza. They're not going to treat you. They gaslight you. They're not going to treat you the way I'm going to treat you, Azaza. You don't want to go do that, man. Like, you want to stay
Like,
here with me, make less money, right? And work more hours than you should. Like, that's what they do when you're getting out of the military. You don't want to go out. Like the idea, I get people contacting me still like, wow, Cody, I never would have thought that you would have, you know, sold companies and, made it into this world, made it with quotation marks. And it's like, yeah, just imagine if I would have listened to you.
yeah, well, exactly. And a lot of things come into play with that. Is uh,
Right.
I think you remember some situations where they'll tell you what to do. Okay, you're gonna do this, but it's not a checklist because you're gonna have to do it this way. And you're like, why don't we do it this way? It's gonna be a lot easier, a lot
Mhm.
quicker, and I mean, you can even add more things to that checklist if we just do it an easier. No, 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 no. We're gonna do it this way, and this is the way. And it's just like I use those things in perspective, where it's like you know what, I can probably run a company. I can do this. I have my decision making skills are probably a lot better. On top of the fact that when you become a corporal, you're in charge of Marines. At that
Yeah.
point, and if they mess up, you mess up. So it's like you're managing. So your management skills, and so I took all that in account, and I'm like, I can do something here with this. and I can get out there and figure. I have no idea what I'm going to do out there, but I'm gonna figure it out. And it comes down to that. I think if you want to get out and get a job, I think that's you can do that, and if your MOS allows that, where you can just get out and continue the same thing you're doing in the Marine Corps and get paid even more,
Awesome.
brother, get out and keep doing that. You know what I mean? It's like absolutely. I know there's jobs in the Air Force that you get out and we're talking about six figures right when you get out.
But
You know?
a childhood friend of mine, he was in avionics. He's he was trained by Lockheed Martin for the Air Force, getting out and going into a six-figure job, right? As a 24-year-old, right? Just walking out, no college, educated by the people now that he's working for, right? You know,
Yeah.
I think the only thing that I got from the military was that, so much value from the reconnaissance community as a whole, because they teach you this mentality of decision of consequences, right? Great job, Cody. Killed your whole team. Hey, great job, Cody. Failed the mission, right? Now we don't have the information we need, so the battalion can make decisions. Good job, right? Oh, hey, you failed to demo that bridge. Great. Now the enemy was able to cross the Euphrates,
A
right? It's
huge one thing you fuck up in, a huge domino effect. It's
great,
like
right? And so when you and apply that to being an entrepreneur, right? When you're an
yeah,
entrepreneur, like great, you put it from this perspective. Someone on your team right now fails to clean an apartment. That apartment just happens to be for Karen, right? Whoever she is, right? And she's super mad, right? You weren't there. You weren't the manager in charge of that. You weren't the person who was supposed to clean or anything. However, you messed up, Piazza. It's your company.
it's your exactly. And I think that's a good way go way to see it where it's like why does that person get paid big bucks? It's because you got 10 people under you, you got 20 people under you, you got 50 people under you. That's 50 reasons for you to mess up. And make sure everybody does the right thing. And so
Correct.
it's a lot versus it's just one responsibility, and that's your responsibility, and that's it. You know what I mean? And that's a lot of stress. Going back to having pride of being a Marine, I always ask, like, would you go back in? I'm like, I think I would go back in for a month. You know what I mean? I'll go through that whole experience for
30
one
days.
month, 30 days, and I'm done. But if I can go back in time before I sign that contract, I would go back in time and I'll do it all over again.
Oh
100%.
yeah, 100. And I was just having this conversation. It's interesting, and maybe you have moments like this. I was sitting there late the other night. Must have been Saturday evening, and I was looking out on our patio, and the moon was as bright as it possibly could be. Right, and I'm sitting there reminding myself of all the patrols I sat on, right, at nighttime. I was like looking out there. I'm like, oh, this is some really good MBG weather. Right, this is the night vision would work well in
That's
this,
the
right?
first thing I thought
Right.
of when
And I'm
I
like, I'm
was.
sitting there. Night vision would work. This would be a great night. And I sat there and it's brisk outside. I'm like, man, I remember what it felt like sitting there soaking wet in my my frog gear or something, soaking wet under a tree, leaning against my pack on patrol, and be like, oh god, we got 5 more minutes before we have to continue moving. All right. And so like you're just sitting there and you're like, wow, I remember what that felt like. And I was telling my wife, it's like sometimes it feels like I watched a movie, right? And it feels like a movie that I watched. I'm just pulling back memories from what seemed like long, long ago, far, far away in a land that never happened, right? That's what it feels like to me
Yeah,
sometimes. But yeah,
yeah.
I'd go back for 30 days. But if I had to do it all over again, I would, if anything, I would have joined earlier. Absolutely.
One, I wouldn't have thought about it. I
Yeah.
remember like, yeah, man, I'm still thinking about it. I'm a poolie,
Yeah.
just looking at my other options. When in reality, I wasn't looking at any other options. I was
No,
just like, I don't know.
I
I'm
was
just,
having fun.
yeah, having fun. Exactly. I'm like, I got to get out of here. I got to do something,
Yeah.
and I didn't even, I didn't even know about the benefits. I mean, going in.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I tell I tell a lot of kids, man, I'm like, you know what, is everybody thinks that when you join you're automatically a grunt, and it's just like it doesn't work that way. What I mean? You can spend
So
4
many
years,
different, so many different lives in the Marine
so
Corps.
many different lives. You know what I mean? And so it's like look into it, because get being able to get your college degree and not owing a penny, you know what I mean? And on top of that, people do respect the fact that you were in the military due to the fact where it's like this guy definitely has some type of discipline. You know, whether Air Force, Army, there's some type of discipline in there. There's some type of maturity in there, and so they prioritize that. So I always tell people, go in when they say they want to be grunts. I'm like, listen, man, try special forces first because
Yeah.
it might be, but yeah.
And that's one thing when I was going through, BRC, having been in the military already for a while, right? I sat there and, I was like, I went to recon because I got out off active and I was like, I think I'm going to do this again, right? I'm like, school's great and everything. I like being a college student. I can do this all at the same time, right? I've been doing it all.
Wait, so how did
And
that work? So did your contract end and you just
So I
redid
signed,
another?
I signed a direct affiliation to basically, I went back to active on the predication that I would make it through BRC. But if I didn't, and here's the fun kicker, right? Because there's always a clause, right? With the Marine Corps. If I did not make it through BRC, they were going to drop me to a reserve grunt company, right? Because I had already changed my MOS. Like I was already a 0311, right? I already did the lat move
Oh,
over.
you tossed yourself in a funnel basically, and if it
Yeah,
doesn't,
dude.
you
Yeah.
just
So,
keep going.
and
And
just like you just said, just like you end up kind of wherever your dice fall is kind of the mentality, right? And so what I thought was interesting was that when I would join back to ACT and I went to BRC, it was these dudes pull you in much like go special operations first. And so I have 2 points there. He pulled us into this room, me with 5 other people who were on the same program. And this dude was like, "Hey, you guys want to go ahead and drop? You want to go ahead and drop? You want to quit today? Right? I'll go ahead and save you some time and pain because you only have about like a 1.5% chance of making it through this. People in your pipeline, they never make it. We've never had anybody make it. Right. The funny part is the 5 of the 6 people in that room made it. Right. We were an anomaly. Right. They's like, oh my goodness, the Marine Corps like doubled down on that investment as soon as we made it through, and no one ever made it through again. Right.
so
they
you
they
had a
created
what would that be, a 98.5% chance that you were going to be a
of
grunt?
failure. Of, correct. I would give me those odds. I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll take it right now. And so, but then I go through there, and then I was sitting there, and we're like watching all these people. You start off with 150 people, and dude, day one, 15 people drop. Right, just quit. Right, we're not even in the pool yet. We're just picking up sandbags at this point. And then you get to the pool, and then poof, 30 people drop. Right, and so you started that day off with 150 people. You're already down to 120. Right,
the
and
pool's tough.
yeah,
Everybody.
and
That's the thing.
everyone, dude. I saw dudes are like, man, that dude is definitely going to be reconnaissance. He drowned day one. Next, right?
Talk about Squid Games, brother.
it's it's what was hilarious about it though. Like you're sitting there, I'm like, look at all these worthless people, quitters, right? Quitter. And the guy said, he's like, hey, listen, he's like, none of you should look down on those people because one thing that you should know is you all still have a real high probability of over the next 6 months of being one of those people. And give you an idea, only 25 of us graduated. He's like, but what's really important is you understand, like these people, they're going to go out to the Marine Corps to wherever they drop because some of them are pre like are pre they're this is a weird period of time. They were taking people from MCT and allowing them to go to BRC. And so these people were not going to go become grunts. They were going to become rest of the people in the Marine Corps. He's like, these people are going to go off and be the best in their MOS. They're going to be the best. They're going to go off to some of the job in the Marine Corps, and they may not be a reconnaissance, but they will be the number one at their job. He's like, and that's what's great about it. He's like, we're not building. He's like, even recon not being recon is making the rest of the Marine Corps better. He's like, because the best of the best come here. And he's like, and maybe this isn't for them. Maybe this isn't what their destiny had laid out for them, and that's okay. And then just selection makes it happen for you. Some people make it through that weren't supposed to make it through, and that also happens.
That's what, a 0.2%.
So dude, some people, man, they there's this one guy, and as we gear down here, this one guy, I won't mention his name because I'm not that person, but he was just a great example of very strong, hyper intelligent, zero ability under pressure, right? This guy was
All that
pre-med,
goes out the window.
right? He was pre-med, went to the Marine Corps. He could swim like a fish, right? He could run all day like a locomotive, just wouldn't stop him, right? Put whatever you want on top of him. As soon as the pressure in a situation would gear up, right? And then we didn't realize this till we got to the shooting phase after he had already been selected, right? We're in there shooting, and this dude's like, and I think that's one thing it's indicative of entrepreneurship too, right? There's a lot of very smart people out there who know a lot and who can do a lot, right? And who probably look like they'd be great entrepreneurs until they've bet their entire livelihood on a company, right? And now they're like, what decision do I make? And they start freezing. And so sometimes you can have all the right material, just not the right mindset.
Yeah, and that is a lot of pressure, man. I was actually having this conversation with somebody where it's you don't you can have a 9 to 5, you can have a job and still be in hopes of owning your own business. And a lot of times what they do is you have your 9 to 5 and then you do your side hustle, which can potentially be your full-time business, down
Correct.
the road. But it has to get to a point where you're making enough income to get your finances, save some money, put it into the side hustle. There's going to be a point where this side hustle has to be priority and you have to
Correct.
quit your job. And that is a scary feeling. That is a
Yeah.
lot of pressure because guess what? You still either have a mortgage, you still have to pay rent, you still have to whatever, car payments, all this stuff. So you're quitting this job and putting all your bets in this side hustle, which is now going to be your full-time gig. And
Yeah.
hopefully, I mean, dude, you got to make it happen. There's no questions asked once you do that.
Uh, my old vice president at Apple used to say it's called burning the boat, right? The Vikings, when they would invade a new land, they'd show up on shore, they'd turn around, they'd burn their boats because, like, if we
We ain't
don't
going
win,
back.
baby, we
There's
ain't
no
going
retreat.
back.
No retreat.
That's just one of those things, brother. Well, Zaza, brother, I really appreciate this special edition here. Jumping on with me today, and I'll even have the team label this as a special edition because
Awesome.
it is really fortunate for us, you and me, 15 years later, right? Being able to sit here and chat about the past, talk about business, and both of us looking at each other's lives because we've seen each other's lives, right?
Yep,
When
yep,
we were
yep.
from where we started to where we're at now, and being like, wow, I mean, I wouldn't have guessed we would have been the persons who are sitting here, running businesses and sitting, in really great spots in life because I didn't have those cards pegged for me. I wanted it, right? But
Yeah.
the wants don't always cash checks.
I mean, we go way back to the point where we were in school together, learning about our
School.
MLS.
Correct. We went to the early days of
This
the
video was brought to you by our official
like,
sponsor,
I mean, we
Telehelp
knew each
Inc.
other within the
Need
first
support for
six
your
months of
business?
joining. Like that's how.
Telehelping
Were you
connects
the
you
team
with
leader for
top-tier
your
remote
squad?
staff to help you
Yeah,
streamline
I was.
I
operations
was the
and
team
fuel
leader for
growth.
mine. Look at that.
There was
Go to
there was high hopes for me at
telehelping.com
one
and
point
get
in the Marine
started
Corps,
today.
right? And then what
There
happened
was.
was,
There was. And then you check the politics out, you're like,
you're like, I don't know about this. I'm gonna cash me out, please. Well, brother, I appreciate you. And for all those out there watching, if you enjoyed this, please continue to give us a like and follow. If you looking for cleaning service in Boston, reach out to Azaza. If you want us to connect you, please hook us up. Connect us at info@telehelping.com. We really appreciate your time today. Hey, brother, thank you so much for your time.
absolutely, man. Take care, man.
Later, brother.